and delegates of the member states, ladies and gentlemen. First, we would like to thank the Commission and the delegates of the member states who are present at this meeting for the wise decision to work in partnership with civil society and listen to what it has to say. Non-governmental organizations and members of civil society, we intend to work with you to find a way to overcome the impasse caused by the failure of the goals that were set in the 1998 UNGAS political declaration on the world drug problem. As part of the endeavor to review the past 10 years of this policy, we present the following statements. And now jump the initial considerations. I don't have much time, and I will go to some observations. The end of the prohibition of drugs is only a matter of time, but if nothing is done to facilitate the transition from the current repressive model to a tolerant model, the price will be high. The end of prohibition will be the result of the unbearable level of violence and crimes that the war on drugs will have reached. This will result in even greater problems than already exist today in the implementation of public health measures for drug users. Millions of people who have some involvement with drugs are daily persecuted in Brazil, where I come from, and elsewhere in the world. The idea that these people are evil or harmful and should be removed from society or their families is a perverted way of thinking. We can no longer allow this simplistic moralizing to feed the prejudice and stigma that surround these people. We can no longer allow this blind intolerance to transform these people into criminals. Criminalization pushes drug users away from health services out of fear of discrimination or a fear that they will be reported to the police or receive poor treatment from healthcare professionals. The criminalization of people who use drugs also hinders the prevention and treatment of HIV/AIDS and other health conditions, as many new infections occur among people who use drugs. Current drug policy of prohibition is not sound public health policy, including for the prevention of HIV and viral hepatitis. The statement by UNAIDS at last year's session of the CND made this very clear. Consider as well what drug prohibition does to our young people. When a young person uses an illegal substance, even for the first time, he or she is no longer considered our most precious asset, to use the language of the first paragraph of the CND Political Declaration 2009, but instead becomes an enemy who should be persecuted, repressed, or imprisoned. The prohibition of drugs is used to weaken and oppress youth. Now I'll jump to some recommendations. We think that the UNODC should be separated into one agency for drugs and another one for crimes. It doesn't make any sense to unite both drugs and crime under one agency. This association gives the absurd impression that drugs are criminal by nature, not by human discretion. Furthermore, this association furthers the stigmatization and criminalization of drug users. This should be completely undone. Drug misuse is a health and social problem and should not be subject to interventions from the criminal justice systems. The conventions that rule the UN system of drugs control should be revoked. Each member state should have the freedom to develop its own drug policy, determining, in light of domestic conditions, the best ways in which to prevent and minimize the adverse health and social consequences of the problematic use of drugs. The new system should encourage this decentralization, respecting the geographic and cultural differences and supporting the way each member state chooses to deal with the drug industry recreational and medicinal drugs. The new system should also encourage harm reduction services and approaches as a way to deal with the use and misuse of drugs. Of the existing strategies, harm reduction seems to have the most significant proven impact on promoting the health of people who use drugs and preventing a number of diseases, including HIV and viral hepatitis, and associated social health and economic consequences. The score of the war on drugs, with all the destruction, violence and misery that it has inflicted on humanity and the environment, needs to be settled. Above all else, the UN system for drug control must be based on respect for fundamental human rights. At this 52nd CND session, we wish that the delegations of the Member States can finally set a new course on drug policy, far from the incomprehensible, punitive prohibition that, contrary to what it professes, actually promotes violence and crime and claims innocent lives. Thank you very much.